Here checking in live, man. RespectMyRegion.com. We're back here on another episode of the RMR Podcast. RespectMyRegion.com in the house, man. We got a very special guest today, Tom Hutchinson, representing Hitz Cannabis out of Washington. Tom, you are the CEO, you are the owner, you're the big boss dog over there. I've known you guys for a few years. We haven't been around each other much in person because I've been in Cali for 6 years now since I moved away from Washington. But you guys, we were just saying offline, or rather I was just saying offline, I was giving you guys love because you guys have really stepped in there in Washington and really helped hold up our generation's culture, music, weed, community, make and move, fashion, entrepreneurship. You're a young entrepreneur yourself, and so I just want to show love and applaud you for that hustle because I respect the fuck out of that. I know the grind and the hustle, and you've taken it even beyond what we've done at Respect My Region into building a statewide brand, RSO, vapes, limited pre-roll runs. People know Hitz. You're not Fat Panda, but the goal wasn't to be Fat Panda, right? The goal was to be your guys' self. And so welcome to the show, my man. Thank you for being a guest today.
Oh, man, I appreciate you, and the respect is very much mutual, brother.
I appreciate you, man. Thank you again and always. So first things first, our episode of the day brought to you guys by Extract Consultants. They are our preferred terpene partner for all things flavors, botanical formulation, 40 plus years, family generational owned, guys. So we appreciate them for powering this episode today. Big shout out to Extract Consultants. But the episode's not about them, Tom. The episode's about you, your journey, legacy, legal, entrepreneurship, Washington State, around the country, Tom, people don't know anything about the PN dub. They hear about Oregon and all the licenses, and they hear about the difficult it is. Everybody knows about Wild. Let's just cut to the chase. Everybody knows about Wild. But people don't know about these other craft legacy brands, craft adult use brands, companies that are small businesses like yours that have grown along with this recreational market. And so, Tom, if you wouldn't mind, let the people know a little bit about Hitz Cannabis, what you guys do, where you're located. Just give me the quick little 30 seconds who you guys are and what's good with you. You know what I'm saying?
We're located out in Yelm, Washington. I think our main journey is, natural plants, original music, and ordinary people. We make products for the ordinary people, and we're a low-cost budget brand, so we can get it out there. We move massive units, and our whole goal is to get as many Hitz Cannabis products into as many people's hands as possible. And once you do that, the brand will speak for itself. You're safe. Once you have 200,000 people touching it a month, the customers speak for itself.
It's been interesting to see your guys' growth over the years. What year did you guys officially start? Because I feel like I saw you guys, because you guys are Yelm, so that's the center south of the state, so to speak, from a geographical standpoint. I feel like with me living in Renton and Kent, living in Seattle, whenever I would go into Tacoma, I would see you guys a lot, and like Renton South. But that was 5-6 years ago, bro. So where's the predominant base of your retail partners? Where can people go buy Hitz Cannabis vapes or Hitz Cannabis RSO today?
Now we're pretty much everywhere. We're through like 130 stores across the state consistently every single month.
Nice.
All the big players, Main Streets and the Zips are real big for us. Toker Friendly. We have a big presence out in Spokane too.
Oh my God, Batman at Toker Friendly, making the list, dog. Let's go.
Yeah, man, we're in quite a bit of them. The herberies in Vancouver. So we really focus on the stores moving massive units. With us being a budget brand, everything comes into play from the amount of stops our delivery drivers doing a day. We're hitting 10 stores a day. They need to be bigger orders. They need to be moving massive units, things like that. So we really attack the stores that are doing, 300,000-400,000 a month or have multiple stores is kind of our go-to.
That sounds like a good model, man. I mean, a lot of people that raise money around the country for weed, they have these investors and these quarterly reports and meetings. That's all about, let's just put the chart's got to keep going like this, right? Or I guess to the left, right? So it's just got to keep going up this chart. But eventually, dude, you run out of stores, and eventually there's turnover, and it becomes kind of cyclic, right? What has it been like for you guys navigating these icebergs, these continent-sized icebergs that I would refer to as the markets crashing numerous times in Washington. Because you're in 130 consistently. At some point, it was probably like, yo, we got to get in as many as we can, growth. And then you start thinking, well, they don't all move. And then so these ones cause problems. These ones aren't consistent. These ones are assholes, or these ones they're always asking for more and more and more. But we can't always give more. And Washington's market's pretty tricky with the giving more aspect of it.
Yeah, I mean, we're at the bottom in Washington. I mean, we're selling finished, $5 vapes to stores. They're turning around and selling them at 15, but doing deals, order online. You're getting it out the door. So it's one of the lowest markets in the country. We came in, my partner.
It's a buyer's market, as they say. It's a buyer's market.
Yeah, for sure. My partner Nader is, he did so much consulting for Amazon and a big CPG company. So he really taught me kind of a lot of like how to move and be a CEO in the industry. But we came in knowing that every industry has the same trajectories. It kind of starts here. You kind of got that gold rush. And then all of a sudden, once that gold rush comes, you go and boom, you hit that straight bottom. We came in when we bought the farm in 2018. We were the highest payers on the market. We were young kids with big dreams, obviously thinking we can go in there and sell. But, Nader was a little smarter and understood that, this industry is going to be dropping ASAP fast. We need to build every product around where the market is crashing. If we're already at the bottom and have the shelf space, everyone else is going to be continuously adjusting. We're already going to be profitable at the bottom. As long as we get comfortable with 25% profit margin sitting at the bottom when everyone else is being greedy, we're going to actually be able to withstand, and we're going to have the shelf space. Everybody else is going to be continuously dropping their price. The stores are already going to have you locked in at, well, we kind of need you at a mid-level brand. I got a relationship with you and you're already at mid-level. I don't have room to drop you. Hitz is already at the bottom and
they're not looking forward to hearing you guys launch 15 other brands for categories, right? Like with these retailers, people love to say, oh, your sales rep, if they represent multiple brands and multiple products and, it's just one order for that buyer, they can just order through everybody. And we've seen in Washington that that's a horrible way to set up the menus and to provide product differentiation and offerings at the retail level. It's terrible. And then if you do all that, then you risk these bigger partners, these bigger brands. If they fuck up in that pesticides realm, we won't name names right now, but if they fuck up at a huge scale, like we just saw in your market, now your store is representative of that as well and reflects that in a big way. Better to be craft, better to have better control.
Yeah, absolutely. I always say, my favorite and my happiest points of running a company was when we were around like the 40, 50 grand a month mark. That was like probably when I was the enjoyed my day-to-day the most. Now we're doing 200 grand a month, and it is every day it's just stressful. You're dealing with too many stores, there's too many people touching everything from even from outsourcing to everything. There's too many purchasing managers, too many people you're dealing with, and every store there's 13 of them sometimes, and to deal with chains at that level is just everything becomes real hard. You got to learn and get everything streamlined very fast and figure out how communication's happening very fast between everybody. It's a difficult thing to navigate.
That part is huge, right, Tom? Communication between these brands and the retailers is one of the hardest and trickiest parts about the entire cannabis ecosystem, man. It is tough to get these buyers to respond. But in their defense, they're managing all these relationships. But then to hold them accountable, they bought too many brands.
Absolutely. The main thing is, a lot of them are like younger. So to have those difficult, real hard conversations of like, hey, we need to move you up and down. Your product's not moving as fast. You have people coming in on your territory. A lot of them aren't really ready to have those conversations. So they're going to be ignoring you. And you've got to understand that, you have to be able to go in there and read the market yourself and figure out why he's not responding to you, and then come at him and be like, hey, I understand 2 or 3 people are coming in on my price range. I'm willing to drop until these guys are gone. If you're willing to bring me back up when they do drop, or I'm willing to stay down there up, long term, I'm just willing to work it out. What can we do? I'm just, you have to figure out a way to get to them, but you have to let them know that you're aware of the situation, and that'll actually get you a chance at the table again, because that's the reality. There's too many farms, there's too many people going, and you're dealing with, tons of people are getting investors. I've had friends that, I've had my farm going for 8 years. I've had friends get investors and open farms, got $1 million 4 times and has failed 4 times, and continuously got another $1 million and open another farm. Because that's just the reality of this market. Is there's always going to be people with a lot of money willing to throw into it, but then you're going to get people not really knowing how to operate, and you have to go and navigate people that are going to have a lot more money than you. And how are you going to go and sustain that? You really have to build your brand. You really have to build your story, and you really have to show people that you're in it for the long term. You're in it for the long haul. Yeah.
Let's talk a little bit about those key elements to the process, the story, and your guys' continued success, both currently and in the future. Okay.
Yeah.
I mentioned a little bit earlier about how you guys are active in the culture, right? Hitz. I was bugging you. We saw each other in person last year, and then I was like, oh my God, I'm so excited because I'm not there, so I'm not thinking about Washington. I'm not thinking about that stuff. I'm surrounded by Cali. There's my emails are filled with record labels and invites to shit here. Washington and Oregon, I have to step back and put actual energy into. And you guys,
you're one of the groups, be like,
because I've been watching you guys do stuff in the Washington market for the last few years. I've seen you hang out with an RIP DJ Unk. I've seen you hang out with Too Short. I've seen you throw concerts and events and do like studio session mixtape creation thingies. I've seen you guys do all these cool ideas. Some people with the homies that we've had over the years, some people that we featured over the years, some people we have no idea of, and it just gets me so excited to think about where groups like you are at currently and what the future can look like, because in Washington, the future does include delivery. In Washington, the future does include event licenses. Not right now, but in the future. And companies like yours, Zaz, Legit, Sungrown, The Bakery, Ruckus, other groups of people that participate, Clutch, Evergreen Market in the past. I know that the tribal people already do cool shit in the tribes. Like, the events are going to get doper and better over time, and you guys are going to be at the forefront of that. Tom, where does your passion for music and cannabis combining come from? Where does that intersection lie? Because we're similar in that regard. So where does that story come from for you?
Man, so it first started where, me and you, we're all legacy operators back in the day. It's how it all first started. And so it really started at, how am I going to turn this money and make it look legit? So I went and started, I was like 21 years old. I just got busted by Westnet. Westnet gets shut down. I was their last bus for Impractical Bus in Washington State. They were actually going and like reselling like guns or something supposedly. And then, so they get shut down. I had to do 6 months of house arrest, everything. I have to restart, my whole business, everything. And I'm like, all right, I need to make everything look real so I can have like, I can eventually get approved to buy a house someday. So I can eventually pay taxes. I can do that. So then I went and I started, it was back in the day, PME, and the whole idea of that was just to make my shows seem a lot bigger so I can, create some legal cash. I've had a business mind immediately doing that. I just, at 21 years old, I hooked up with Coolio, I hooked up with Fresh, and then shortly after that, I hooked up with Rap and Forte, and we found a close business relationship together after that. So then I ended up just getting kind of like addicted to the music industry and rap game from like 21 to 28, where, of course I was still, growing weed underground and doing that, but nothing too serious. I was just blowing it, traveling, being a rapper and, throwing shows and, really learning a lot. Too? I'm more would hype Forte and do all that at the shows and stuff, because I'm
man MC.
Yeah. I'm more, I'm booking in shows, I'm recording people, I'm putting, I'm putting tracks together, I'm doing all that. I'm just really helping.
That's like all of it, dude. That's coordinating, A&R, marketing. That's the whole nine.
Absolutely. And that's where I learned so much of my marketing. I learned of, branding like yourself as a person and doing that. And then how that can translate of, you are the business, how that's like your first initial jump. And then what gets you there won't get you there. So you have to transition, we can get to all that later, but I learned so much of marketing from the hip hop industry. And, anyways, I got addicted to it at around like 28 years old. And then that's when my partner, Nader, who owns half of Hitz Cannabis, he ended up making $1 million through sexual wellness categories on Amazon. No joke, like selling dildos and stuff. That's where the opening was. And that's where he, now he has huge clients and everything, big old paper towel companies and everything. But, before then, that was his opening to get started. That's where the highest markups were. So he made that money, and then he gave it to me. I was consulting like at that time for cannabis also, and I was getting flown all around the country to do that. Also with my rap, I was myself as a marijuana rapper. So I was going and setting up places from soil to oil is what I'd call it. So I'd set up places if they wanted to grow hydroponics, aeroponics, if they wanted to grow organic, and then depending on what city that they were in, if they could process hydrocarbon or if it had to be ethanol, what their processing method would be. And then I'd build out their branding for them depending on what products they can make and do all that. Then I'd build a brand for them. And, Nader was like, holy shit, like these guys are paying you so much fucking money. There's a lot of money in this marijuana industry. Nader's never smoked weed. So he's, so he would just come to my rap shows to stay in touch with me because I was always like, we played every sport together. I was always the quarterback, the point guard, and everything. And he was my teammate, so he was always like, Tom's a great leader. I'm making good money. I'm gonna kind of stay close to him and see what's going on. And then, so he's like, Jesus, Tom, these guys. So rap isn't really making money. That's like kind of like your branding on the side. You're really making a lot of money from doing all this consulting for marijuana. Why don't we just, I made $1 million. Why don't we buy our own farm? And I'm like, bro, you're absolutely crazy. It's going to take every dollar that you have. And Nader's always been crazy. So he's just like, okay, well, Tom, I'll sell my house. We'll do it. And I was like, whatever, dude. Why don't you just come with me to this meeting and see what these guys are paying me and all that? So I fly him to one of my meetings with me. It's in Iowa. These people were trying to move me to Florida and all that. And it was just these rich billionaires that were doing it. And we get back to the hotel, to speed it all up. And Nader was just like, Tom, like, seriously, I will put my house up on the market right now. Let's just fucking do this. You're a consultant for a place in Washington. Let's just buy that farm, dude. And I'm like, dude, you're crazy. We're going to need more money than that, than the $1 million. Then it's going to cost, another couple $100,000 for branding to do all that. Like, it's going to take more money. And he's like, I'll keep making money and I'll give you all of it. I'm like, I just don't want to deal with that. Like, what if we fail, blah, blah, blah. And then he's just like, my parents will sell their house and then we'll fucking do it. And I'm just like, y'all are fucking crazy, dude. Give me the money. He gave me $1 million, and paying it back of learning to be a CEO of all that broke my soul many fucking times. I'm definitely a new person than I was 8 years ago before I took it, but it took everything. And, once we got paid off, that's when the snowball effect happened. So we really focused, limited funds. How are we going to get in there and build a presence? How are we going to be the best at what we do? We're going to do one thing. And, my whole other journey is, the reason why I dropped out of school was I was never like, I always created this image of I was a hip hop or, drug dealer, and I was cool. But really in school, I was very smart. School was very easy for me. Basketball was my main thing, and dropping out of school really hurt me. I did not want to do it, but I had Crohn's disease, and that was fucking embarrassing when you're a sophomore in high school and you're shitting every time, and but my journey with that is I cured myself of Crohn's disease at 21. So then when I got into this market, I was like, damn, everybody's focusing on high THC, I know RSO more than anything. The industry kind of forgot about the medical effects of this product right here. And I'm going up to bud tenders and trying to tell them what RSO is. And I'm fucking having to educate these bud tenders, but it's too small of a play for the fat pandas and these big guys to even fucking worry about that market. I think there's a fucking opening there. And then, so I went all in. That was the only product we made. And we focused on just getting that one product into as many stores as we could, 100 fucking stores. Get that one product into 100 stores, brand one product and be the best at it, and get that into everywhere. Because everybody knows, well, not everybody, but Nader, a huge business guy, knows that, once you have one SKU and you're in 100 stores, probably around 15 to 20% are going to immediately pick up your next SKU as soon as you try it. So we just need to get that into 100 stores, get that shit profitable, and save up a little bit of money so we can start releasing our next SKUs once we're paid off and stuff. And then once we did, we just went all in on RSO. We used, sorry, I coach kids basketball. These kids are blowing me up. We get that into 100 stores. And then let's start our next product. Obviously, that's when the vape boom was happening and everything. So that's when we came in there and we had to just go and be that low-cost brand. Our other kicker, why we were able to kind of beat everybody at pricing and everything, I didn't want $1 million loan from fucking Nader. I wanted to go in, just buy a processor license, brand, and do what I can do. But as Nader came in and started taking my consulting and started digging through everybody's numbers, he's like, wow, every single place is failing for the same fucking reason. They can't pay fucking rent, dude. They're getting jacked around by their rent. So Tom, we need to go in there, and you're talking all this that you're doing RSO is our one product that we're doing, and you're washing it with alcohol. And then you're filtering everything out. So we just need massive biomass. So we're just going to grow outdoor farms. That's what we need. We need to go buy the land and the property and the house on that. So we have no rent and no overhead. So we can go in there and be the lowest cost RSO. We can go beat everybody out. No one's going to be able to compete with us. These big farms are always going to pay $1 per square foot. You can grow 30,000 square feet. So then they're going to pay 30,000 square feet plus their extra processing area. The rent is outrageous for these places. And that's where every place was failing. So he's like, we need to buy the land and do that. So yeah, you do need to take this $1 million. So we did, and we had to do that long haul of paying everything off, doing that one product, making sure, because there was no other money, no other massive money for investors. So we had to be profitable right away. So out of every month that we've been open, Hitz Cannabis has never had 1 month ever that has never been profitable, because we had loans to pay everything right away. We bought the cannabis company and we had to immediately be paying a $10,000 a month loan. So we really had to focus on profit now. So that's where everything of, every book we had came into play of, trying to shape my mind of, we know we're building to the future, but we do need to be immediately profitable now. How can we do that? How slim can we run? And that's where everything came in with one product, just your RSO. And once we got into there and everything was paid off, and that's when the vape pen boom happened, that's when it really took off, because we had an outdoor farm completely paid off. We were cropping massive amounts of weed, plus had tons of partnerships with other farms. So we had tons of outdoor weed. So we're really just able to crank out distillate at a massive rate. So then the RSO and then distillate vape pens, which was our first thing, was just a no-brainer. And then it just kind of went from there. And then we just kept booming and kept on proving concept. And then after distillate vapes came in, we started with disposable distillate vapes. And then we drop a line, of a live resin vapes, and, do some limited times of those. And then we'd bring in Rappin' Forte, bring him out to town. And we'd do, a purple play a punch of him of a limited time. We'd have him go stop by all the stores with us. And then all of a sudden, you're emailing these purchasing managers, and most of the time they're not answering you. But all of a sudden you sent them an email, and 30 minutes later, Rappin' Forte comes into your stores and everybody's taking pictures with them. You're probably going to end up buying some units and putting it on the shelf. You know what I mean? But that's the difference of where the endorsements came, where most people are paying for all these endorsements, but the dude's never showing face for them. Where I focused on my endorsements were people, DJ Unk and people that were going to be right next to me, and they can go and rep it with me and walk into the store with me. And that's where, obviously I can't get Snoop Dogg, but Rappin' Forte will ride for me, and he'll walk into the store with me, and he will even convince you to buy Hitz. And that's where I think my branding really took us, is trying to get to a mutual love with these artists and not just reaching for something from them.
Why the name Hitz, Tom? Where'd that come from? What was that day like? Was there a meeting? Was it a smoke sesh? Did you hit a 3 and then you were like, all right, I'm hitting it right now? Where'd Hitz come from?
It was more just name openings and things that just stuck, man. So you just get lucky sometimes. It wasn't even too much of, oh my God, it's happening, and this, and it was just like, wait a second, Hitz can also be music too, and it just went from there. It was we got lucky. I'm not going to overplay it.
What are some of your favorite flavors of the distillate vapes and or the disposables that you guys do? And then I'll ask same question, but for strains with the live resin vape.
So probably the Bubba Kush, obviously, because back in high school, that's what I was known for back in school, and to be able to transition that to something here is great. Everybody's going to know about it and be like, wow, this was just like high school, as soon as the deal goes through with this indoor farm that we're buying, and we can start producing our top.
Is that the live resin one or the Disty Botanical?
No, so we do a live resin Bubba and a Disty Botanical, but we also do a Bubba RSO, which is
cool.
That's like the bread and butter. So
yeah. No, that's so cool to have 3 different formats that way for sure.
Yeah.
Which format do you prefer the most? I mean, I also am a kidney stones Crohn's patient myself.
Absolutely.
So I'm an RSO advocate. I have like 17 different vapes here next to me. I got Washington rosin, Oregon CO2, live resin from Eastern Washington, rosin from Modesto, Disty from Massachusetts. I got all kinds of there's oil from all over the place these days, bro. Wow. It's crazy how these brands can curate these flavors is what I'm getting at. And talk to me about the mindset that goes into the flavors that you've chosen. Obviously, you said Bubba Kush because that's what you were known for back in the day. How does that extend beyond
most of those flavors? Like we do, our blackberry Kush, our blueberry frost, our Bubba Kush, our Bubba CBD, our Narnia and LSD they're just more OG root strains from back in the day compared to the trends that everybody else is following with the new ones. We haven't, we never
that like classic, or you're talking about like more legacy strains.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, when everybody's, we've never really, as we've just stayed so in our own lanes and haven't followed so many trends of everything else. We just do what works for us, and that's so not too much thought has been into it besides the fact of I was growing these when I was 16, and I understand that how much of these are going to stretch and how much of these will fill rooms. I understand that these ones that we have super overloads are going to do great outdoors, and I don't even need to fucking scrog them up. And I understand that these ones that if I'm putting outdoors, I need to have trellises fucking made and ready, because I've just grown them for so long, and just understanding those is really anything, understanding your strands, I guess. So
it sounds like understanding the genetics from a performative standpoint or a projection performative standpoint.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Absolutely.
That's got to be really helpful in terms of the planning and going into that dollar per square foot yield equation you were talking about.
You can only make consistently what you measure. And back when I was consulting, it's hilarious the amount of farms I go to, and you ask them how much it costs them to grow a gram of flower, and they don't fucking know. And then they try to give you the price of what they're growing a gram of flower. And they're so fucking wrong, and they think they're growing flour for under $1 or 82 cents a gram, and it ends up being $1.74 and shit like that. And it's like, it's insane that what's going on. It's like, and you guys are trying to grow 10,000 square feet of this, and your numbers are off by that much. You don't have much time here, and your employees, neither do you. You need to look elsewhere.
Yeah, because the whole bit that the money is going to throttle itself at that point because the math will math and work itself out digitally. If your books aren't right against the digital stuff,
Absolutely.
then you run out of money before you're ready.
Exactly. And even if you had investors aren't, they know to not get attached to you. So that's their job as investors. So as soon as because all they do is read spreadsheets all day, and every business follows the same one. And if your spreadsheet starts going in the red, you're done, man. And yeah, that was always, fortunately, Nader was never like that. He was always like, yo, if you needed something more, I'm willing to sell my house for you. But he preached it to me every day and was like, yo, this is how real business works. Look at what I'm digging into right now. Look at the millions and millions and millions of dollars that they're putting behind this. I'm talking 300 employees are going to be gone right here if this goes into the red. This needs to be fixed ASAP. Like that's what these levels of CEOs are dealing with. And if you want to have Hitz Cannabis be a big brand, which you've always fucking talked shit about and said that's what you fucking want, are you fucking ready for that? And it was always like, fuck, no, but let's go. Right. Yeah, it took a lot, firing people that you promised, a job and a better life to, and then all of a sudden your numbers ain't looking right, and their numbers aren't hitting, and you've had conversations with them about getting them right. Like that shit is hard, man, and it breaks you and them, and it's hard, but it's like the same thing for a tribe of lions or whatever the shit. So sometimes one person got to be sacrificed to keep the other 8 going, and all 8 of them got kids coming too, and you know what I mean. It's rough, man, but you have to think of all that.
Business is rough. It was not supposed to be easy, and the reality is we do got to get a job, and we got to make money here to pay our bills and survive in America. And in some places, it's more expensive than others. Washington, it's not an easy place. Cold, a lot of weather, expensive, right? It's not the easiest place to survive out there. You really gotta have grit to it, which is something that I feel like, which is something you guys have had to really display as well throughout the tumultuous markets. We're in Q2 2025. We've officially hit Q2. We're 11 days in. What is on the horizon for Hitz? Do you guys have some new products or some new items coming out? Or what are you guys working on right now?
So we're buying another farm that has a kitchen. So we're releasing, drinks like sodas, like a whole line of those. But our real thing that really matches our brand is we're going to come out with our weed lean that you're going to be able to go and dump into your Sprite and do all that. I started making that back in with Little Flip like 12 years ago or something, man, is when I first started that. And of course, it was not nearly as good. We were using keef even back in the day and shit. It was just horrible, and but yeah, that's our biggest thing that's going to match our brand. I think this weed lean is going to be insane. We're going to have our Texas version, we're going to have our West Coast version and an East Coast version. None of it's branded or anything, but
that's it.
Yeah.
That's going to be dope. So some new beverages on the horizon, specifically with the Hitz weed lean, East Coast, West Coast, and the South. Man, that's going to be dope.
Yeah, it'll be cool. We don't have artists for each one yet, but that's currently what we're working on. When we release a new product like this, we need a product to endorse it and everything. We're thinking Fabo might be the one that is doing the South one. So, but yeah, that's where we're at so far.
That's dope. Any insights on what the flavors might be?
Well, it's obviously going to be grape, and then there's another one that's like pomegranate, where we're trying to get the flavor to like kind of match the codeine flavor, but not
that blood pomegranate color.
Yeah, so it's going to be obviously a little sweeter to get it. So that's kind of what we're playing with now, because you're already dumping it in a soda, and then it's going to have glycerin in it too. So we're trying to unsweeten it is what we're working on at the moment. So. But it's hard. You have to get it. And then, with drinks and edibles, it's not just supplying, I got a new product. I got to supply it to the Liquor and Cannabis Board and get my bags approved and all that shit that everybody has to do. But then it also has to go to the Department of Agriculture. So then it's going to take another 3 to 6 fucking months, And then they're going to dig it to the next deeper level, just like they did. And this doesn't go to kids, and all the same shit you just went through with the Liquor Board, but then even more. So it's just it'll be a little harder one to navigate, but I'm confident it'll get approved and we'll get it to market. So,
Yeah, man, that's gonna be an exciting venture. I'm excited for you, man. I think I love beverages. I look forward to getting back up there and trying some of the different products the next time that I visit. It should be out there hopefully later this summer. But yeah, man, that should be dope. Sounds like a potential Q3, Q4 situation for you guys, or maybe even in the next year. Is that what we're looking at timing wise?
Q4 next year, yeah. Q4 would be dope.
Dope, dope,
Yeah.
dope, dope. Well, so you are a music guy, right? You are the music guy, and I feel like this question is perfect for you. If you were gonna throw your dream Hitz Cannabis music festival, uh, first off, what city in Washington's gonna get it? Who's gonna host it? Doesn't just any magical venue. Doesn't matter if like a real venue or not. Just what city would you do it in, and we figure out the venue after that.
I
But
think,
who's
yeah.
performing 3 days? Who's performing at the 3 day event?
Okay, so then you want like, the mainstream artists that were flying out to perform,
Whoever
or
you want to say, bro.
all right, so I guess what we'd have to do is always Rap and Forte will have to perform. And then my guy White Bear and Big Smoke Heavy will open up for him. Those are my two guys right there.
There we
And
go. So
yeah,
that's one day right there.
yeah, that
All
would be
right.
one. It would be 3 days.
Yeah, man, it's a 3 day festival. It's the Hitz
Okay.
Cannabis Festival, bro. Come on,
Okay,
Friday.
okay.
Who's on Friday?
Okay, well, it would be DJ Unk, but he just passed, so now we're in talks with, he was great friends with Fabo. Shake that Laffy Taffy, shake that Laffy Taffy. So we're really hoping he could fill in for Unk's spot. So then Fabo would be a good one, and then two artists that would go good with that. We definitely would have Sauce go and perform. He's a dude who makes all of our beats and everything. He's
Nice.
making huge for late June and everything nowadays. The Sauce is huge out here. And then another dude that would open for him would have to be Devon, but I think his artist name goes by like Fofo or Fostro. I don't know his artist name yet, and my bad for that, bro. Sorry, we talk every day on a personal level and haven't talked about your artist name yet. And so
That's love, though.
Yeah, he's the owner of Spilt Tea Studio, so that's where like everybody goes out there to record. That's whenever I fly anybody out, I bring them out there to record with them. A very professional studio. They went completely they were the guys that went viral on TikTok for spin the wheel, tell me what song to make a song about. Then whatever the topic was, they'd make a song for you on point. And yeah, they're man, it's very good, very mainstream music.
Where's that at?
It's right in Spanaway is where the studio is at, and it's solid, man. It's well worth it to go record there. I strongly suggest it.
And then, so is that day 2 and 3 you just said?
No, that's day 2, and then day 3.
This official music festival, day 3, Saturday, sunset final performance. Who is it?
Okay, then I would do something just a little more because I like it. I'd have Damian Lillard be the main act, and then I'd have my guy Watchatone and Stewie Newton be the guys underneath him, and that would be the dopest show on earth, bro.
I love that. Big shout out to the Northwest Vibes, and shout out to all these artists that inspired you to show them love and be a fan, and also just be a part of the culture, be a businessman that puts money back into that culture. I think it's dope that you're able to live a version of this crazy creative dream that we all have, and then it just grows and expands and morphs into so many different things, right? How cool is that?
Oh, absolutely, man. Thank you, dude. Thank you for having me, man. I've been a fan of you forever too, man. That's why I'm glad we are finally getting linked up and getting this done, man.
Big love, bro. I appreciate your time. Thank you to everybody watching. This episode brought to you guys by Extract Consultants. They are our premier partner for all things terpenes, fragrances, flavors, aromas, custom formulations. If you guys want to bring a strain back to life from a COA into botanical formulation world, or for a vape or things like that, these guys, man, they got some incredible flavors. Every time I see them, it's always fun. I'm always like, yo, what's the latest? What's the latest? One of them was Bomb Pop one time. One of them tasted and smelled like Baja Blast. It's just dope, everybody. So I appreciate you guys for watching and supporting. Anybody interested in that, let me know. But in terms of the last thing, Tom, what's the website where people can support you guys? And what's something that you will just want to let people know or promote or support before we get you out of here?
All right, so go to hitzcannabiswa.com and go ahead and just search, Hitz Media on Spotify, anywhere where you listen to music, and that's kind of where we're starting. We don't have all the artists solely released yet, but we have all the ciphers going out, and you'll be able to bump those.
Dope. What's up with these ciphers? What you talking about?
Check it out on Hitz Media, man. We have everybody, we just gather all local artists from all around to, not just Tacoma, but all around Washington. We'll get, Forte, Mark Battles, Coolio to Underdog, they'll be on it. So like a main artist will be on it, and then we'll throw on a bunch of local artists from around here too, and then just release a bunch of ciphers. And then the local artists that are on the tracks, we are releasing albums from those guys too. That through DJ Unk, we got Hitz got signed through Universal, so we're gonna start releasing albums through Universal through all of our artists and stuff like that. So. Used to DJ, but a great fucking dude, and really did a lot for us at Hitz, man. So he really did.
Big love, man. DJ Uncle was one of the artists back in the day that changed my life when I was a DJ. Back, his music, the artists that he was that were featured around him, the mixtape era back then, just such a fun time. And for you guys to know him personally, big respect, and got to pay respect to his legacy and what he's done in music and as a person. So big shout out to him. For everybody again watching, I really appreciate y'all. Thank you guys for hanging out. Episode 143 of the RMR Podcast, respectmyregion.com. I'm Joey J. Ping. This is Tom Hutchinson. Make sure you guys go visit hitzcannabiswa.com. That's Hitz with a Z, H-I-T-Z, cannabiswa.com. Check out what they got there. Make sure you guys go visit. If they're at 130, there's only like 450 dispensaries anyway, so they're in over a quarter of the stores in the state of Washington. Be sure to ask your local dispensary if they carry Hitz. And for those of you guys out there that are suffering or ailing from things like Crohn's, suffering from things like nausea, suffering from chronic pains and aches, maybe you sleep bad, here's the PSA. RSO can help.
RSO, get the Bubba CBD, the Jack Frost CBD.
It will help, but it can help with guidance.
Good job.
Use, with the proper dosing, and good things can happen over time. Again, can happen over time, and so I recommend and stand on that, as it changed my life and has kept me out of the hospital. And so, Tom, I appreciate you guys going that route, and you guys are going to definitely inspire us to get back into that realm, as that's the product that got me into. Really kept me out of the hospital for my kidney stones and and those issues. So,
it's a miracle, baby.
Come on. Hey, thank you guys for watching. We'll catch you guys next time. Love you guys. We're out. Bye.